What if I told you the appearance of wealth and the reality of wealth are two different things? Do you want to know that in today's video, you will be learning one of the most important wealth and life lessons which you can get not from me, but from an uncle of mine who has told me this, and I feel it really important to give this knowledge and information to you. Hi, this is Anirudh Bellare here. Welcome to the 53rd video of Your Best Financial Life series. See, today's video is going to be in a different aspect whereby these are not learnings from my life. These are learnings from my uncle who has gone through life. See, I do very well understand that everyone's life scenario, your financial scenario, whatever state you are in right now is going to be completely different. But for you to actually take these considerations, and even if you use at least one point in your life, it will be a very useful thing for you. There's a reason to it. See, if a person has spent 40 years of his life and he has gained experiences, not only in terms of wealth or business or corporate life, not those experiences, I'm talking about life experiences, then see, for you to actually consider this kind of information could be useful. It all depends on you. So let's move on to the first and most important point what my uncle had told me, and this is for you. The first and most important point, as I started with the opening of this YouTube video, whereby I mentioned that see, looking wealthy and being wealthy are two different things. See, what have I written here? Looking wealthy and staying wealthy. Now, why is there a difference and a whole lot of difference over here? Because understand, in today's day, when you have all this social media and internet with you, see, it comes with a lot of advantages and disadvantages. The advantages, you can reach a lot of people through your internet, your social media, and all these different factors. But when you see the disadvantage, you tend to feel that kind of comparison whereby you will be wanting to know what your peer is doing, that is a friend or a relative, what that person in their age group is doing with their life. And there is a tendency to feel those comparisons. Similarly, if you'll be knowing that when it comes to financial purchases such as vehicles, as cars or bikes, there could be a tendency of jealousy and all that. See, it's a very normal and natural thing, but there is a reason I've taken this point here for you. Looking wealthy and staying wealthy. You know the meaning of looking wealthy? The ability for you to actually balance. Now, what is this balance word over here? Balance is nothing but you have your money growing in your investment account. I'll write it down here. You have your money growing in your investment account, and with whatever you have generated over a long period of time, you feel that it is the perfect moment for you to buy your particular, say for example, a financial goal of a car, like any costly car which is like say around 20 or 30 lakh rupees, which is actually a very big thing in middle class families. And when you actually buy it, despite your investments growing, which is nothing but you're buying whatever you want despite your investments growing, is a very good sign. And the reason over here, now what a lot of people do, they don't have any kind of investment, which is going to be my fourth or fifth point over here, where I'll be mentioning how important it is to actually invest in, first of all, yourself, and then to compound your money. Because remember, you are the biggest asset of your life. I've mentioned this in my previous videos as well. Because if you do not upgrade yourself, just like how you upgrade your phone on every 3 years, then do you know what, my friend? slowly you will feel that you are not able to give your full commitment to your work. That is why upgrading yourself becomes extremely crucial. I hope you understood this point, because see, remember, it's not for me to come here and talk all of this on camera. You also must be knowing all of this. But for you to actually take it into consideration by understanding that there is this point over here whereby your money grows in one extent and the other extent you buy whatever you want. To reach that point is difficult, but if you actually practice this, it is a very big advantage for your life only. So let's move on to the second point. My uncle also told me this most important point here. See, from a young age onwards, and this is true, this is very much true, a lot of families, they insist that the child does extremely well in their career. I do believe it is 100% true. But do you know what usually tends to be lacking in that particular child? You can say it as lack of physical activity. Now, what is this lack of physical activity? As I mentioned this point right now, that keeping career as your prime focus, especially when you are out of college or when you have done that particular course which has costed you a lot of money, I do understand your return on investment becomes extremely important. Now, what is this return on investment? There's a term in investments called ROI, which is nothing but your return on investment on whatever you have invested in. Like, say for example, you have invested in some particular company whereby you have put like around, say, 20,000 rupees. On that 20,000 rupees, how much money is the company generating for you on that 20,000 rupees is the returns, and that is how it is calculated in percentage. The same concept, when you take it for your career, especially when your parents have put their hard-earned money for you to go in that particular college or institution to get graduated from there, and then when the returns start coming whereby you work in a corporate sector and you actually start earning that money, I very well agree with this. But do you know what? There is this lacking term here called lack of physical activity. See, the human body is entitled to actually put on weight. Now see, I might be wrong here. If I'm wrong, you can please do let me know. But what I feel after what my uncle has told me, that especially when he was in the age of 25, that is 15 years ago, right now he's 40, but 15 years ago, he did not give a lot of emphasis on his physical health. He used to go to his work, come back home, and end of the month, he used to get that salary. Very good. But if you don't take care of your human body, there will be some or the other day where problems will start coming. That's why physical activity could be one of the best solutions. Why? Because you are ensuring that your brain is in motion, your full body is in motion. Say for example, even walking. Walking is also considered a very, very good physical activity. Leave the fact that you play any particular sport, say tennis or badminton or table tennis or whatever sport, or say cricket, football, anything, whereby you require a lot of physical activity. But if you can actually manage your schedule by giving your best in your work environment and simultaneously also giving that time for your physical body whereby you can do that activities, it becomes very important, because then your full body is in place and your work environment also you will perform well. Because remember, the brain always needs to be focused in some or the other thing, and most important after this is sleep, which is also a very big factor. Let's move on to the third point. See, also your environment around you is a big measure for success. What does this mean? Your environment is very important. I don't know how many of you may be knowing this. If you have two small saplings, that is plants, growing beside each other, both of them you give a lot of water, sunlight, and many other nutrients, say even manure or fertilizer. I mean, not manure, fertilizer. You give all these things to that small plant. And to one plant, you give it a lot of motivation by telling, hey, plant, I do trust you. I understand your growth is very important. And for the second plant, you keep telling it a lot of negative things. I don't think you're going to grow. I don't have a lot of trust in you. Surprisingly, for a fact, that wherever you have spread all your good and positive energy on the plant, by telling it good words, it will eventually do well compared to the plant whereby you have done negative things. Because remember, your environment is everything. Just think about it. You have an environment whereby, as a human, leave apart the plant, as a human, you have gone in any particular college or school whereby your friends are actually into wrong things, which you also know are very wrong, but you still go with them because you want to feel that tendency of social comfortness. And in return, what happens? You also start doing the wrong things. Now, I won't be naming the wrong things, but see, that is why environment is everything. If you have a group of people who have the same vision and goal just like you, and if you compliment each of the people, compliment as in not only telling good things, but together you go as a team. Because remember, a team is any day better than a solo player. Because a solo player can do only one particular task, or even if he can do many tasks, if you have so many other people who are also in the similar runway as that particular person, together this full team can achieve a lot compared to this individual. That is why your environment becomes very important. Always remember, whether it's a child in a school or college going for the wrong things, or whether it is a person who has a lot of dreams and he finds that particular group who together can achieve a lot of heights, becomes very important. That is why, remember, environment is everything, wherever you are. Let's move on to the next point. There is this point whereby I keep telling you as audience, saving and investing is important, right? The exact same thing. My uncle told me this right now for my age. That, do you know what? Savings alone won't help you for your financial goals. Now there is a difference here. Savings alone won't help you in financial goals. Now FG is nothing but your financial goals. Now see, for the fact that savings only help you when you require it the most. Otherwise, you may need to ask someone, or you may need to take credit from the bank. Those are different aspects. But savings, in one matter, they get depleted if the money is not grown. So for one essence, keeping the savings as your emergency fund is very important. That's why I keep telling this concept again and again for you. But for you to actually fulfill your financial goals, which takes a lot of money, savings won't be enough. See, my uncle told me this. He wanted to buy a 1 crore rupee luxury car. But when he was young, it's because internet was not there early on in the 1990s and all. Must have been there, but not so adapted and all. So he could not achieve his financial goals because he did not know the power of investing and compounding. And that is what is going to be my next point over here. See, my next point over here is whereby your savings will reach you to your investments. As I mentioned the concept of return on investments above. Now see, why it is important for you to actually understand this concept of investments. Because see, understand, investments are subject to market risk. This is obvious. For any investment you do, you have high risk, high reward, low risk, low reward. I too do understand. but there is a lot of potential and upside. Think about it. If I say you have example 10,000 rupees right now, and just write it down here. You have 10,000 rupees right now and you want to invest this in whatever asset class you want to. This 10,000 rupees investment, what is the worst that will happen with this 10,000 rupees? Ask yourself. You have this 10,000 rupees. If you remove all your emotional attachments with it, with this 10,000 rupees, what is the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen with this 10,000 rupees is it will become zero because of your investments. This is option 1. Option 2, what can happen is your 10,000 rupees can grow and say, for example, become 15,000 rupees, which is almost a 50% return, which is a very, very good thing. But this will not guarantee you in how much time, how much percentage. But you see the upside and the downside of this. For any investment, understand, because it is subject to market risk and all, your investments can go zero or you can have a potential to actually grow that money. Now see, for you to not make this zero, it fully depends on the research and understanding you take in that particular business or asset class before investing. That's why either you do it by yourself, that is your research, or you can go to a financial expert, or you can say an advisor here who has all this information and knowledge, and he can advise you on the basis of your needs and wants with your financial life. Because see, savings, say for example the savings right now, as I mentioned, is the same 10,000 rupees. What do you think is going to happen with this 10,000 rupees? 10,000 rupees is going to be the same 10,000 rupees even after 2 years. But the reality is, because inflation grows at least 8% every year, by the time you have this 10,000 rupees, in the next 2 years, the value of 10,000 rupees would have decreased. Even though in your hand you may be having 10,000 rupees, the amount of things you can purchase with this 10,000 rupees will decrease. That is why investments become very important. And this saving, you can keep it for your emergency fund. If at all, if something happens, this is always there. But remember, for you to actually learn this skill, it's a mind game. And it is also about interest. Now see why interest becomes important. If you take interest in someone, say for example, I mentioned this concept as well. If a boy like me, say example, a boy like me takes an interest in a girl whom I like, very obvious human tendency. Interest as in terms of making girlfriend and all of that things. So because of the interest I show, I actually tend to do a lot of small things like buying gifts or spending time. Understood? The same thing with your investments. Think about it as your future, whereby you take a lot of interest. Once in a while, you actually tend to see your percentage growth. You read the business. See, it is very difficult. But for you to actually do this, it takes a lot of interest, as I mentioned. And this is what my uncle told. Interest is what becomes extremely crucial, because it is you who is going to have the benefit. It is you who is going to bear the benefit if at all anything happens like this. Let's move on to the last and most important point. See, your last point over here, if I can write it down here, if you can make a note of this investments term, is nothing but your time freedom. See, my uncle told me this, and it's very easy for me to tell all of this, but for you to actually practice this, it will be difficult. There is something called time freedom. Time plus goal freedom. Now, what is time plus goal freedom? Time plus goal freedom is nothing but, see, when you are in your young age, you will be having time, you'll be having energy, but you won't be having money. When you enter your 30s, between 30s to 40s, You will be having money, you will be having energy, but you won't be having time, because your time will go in your dedicated business or corporate. And when you reach your 50s to 60s, if at all you tend to retire, you may have money, you may have time, but energy in your human body will go down. But for you to actually manage this money, energy, time, it comes down to what decisions you take, especially with your career, at an early age. And if at all you keep your body fit till the age of 60 and all, and with whatever money you've accumulated, it's well and good. Because see, remember, what is the use of a lot of money if the human body itself is not in its good potential? That's why, remember, for you to understand this word balance becomes very important. That's why I keep repeating this for you, because balance is what becomes ideally very crucial for you to take those decisions, which becomes very difficult with time. With this, I would like to end this topic of whatever I had started. See, it's not that my uncle has told you and I'm proud about it, nothing like that. I just feel it's a learning which could be shared with you, because if an experienced person, who may be right, who may not be right, but at least he has shared it, that is why I feel gratitude for it. And I thought, why not make a video out of it? Correct or not? Thank you so much for watching this video till the end. As I mentioned, you can share this video to a lot of people. You can as well subscribe if at all you want, because understand, this channel is more or less about finances only, and what can help you to be a better person and a good financial manager by making those small corrections in your mistake, which will only happen when you take the time and interest and knowledge as well. Because for anyone to be an expert when it comes to personal finance, it takes a lot of time. And I myself am not an expert here. I'm telling you openly. I am also in this learning process. And I really thank you so much for watching this video till the end.